they will not believe you. All narcissists engage in smearing. Whether lesser, mid-range, greater or ultra, smearing will occur. Smearing is part of the second assertion of control, indirect, whereby you have done something to threaten the narcissist's control, and rather than assert control over you directly, the narcissist engages in smearing. Understand that where this is done by the lesser or mid-range narcissist, they believe that their behaviour is entirely justified because you have done something to cause it. With the greater or ultra, this is a more calculated response whereby, ahead of taking certain action, the greater or the ultra starts to turn the tide of public opinion against you, so that when you try and fight back against it, it is too late. And as the scenario that I shall describe to you shortly, that evidences a situation whereby a combination of the use of the facade and smearing has resulted in a hopeless situation for you as the victim. Not all narcissists operate facades, mid-range and greater do, and the nature of that facade differs. You are triangulated with the facade. So where there is a situation which has been created so that they will not believe you, you will be coming up against either both smearing and triangulation, or just smearing. Lesser narcissists don't operate facades. Therefore, you will be not triangulated with that. Instead, they will smear you as an instinctive response to your threats to that control. And what can happen is that you aren't aware of the smearing taking place. So there'll be instances where you don't realise that you have threatened the narcissist's control, and the narcissist has gone and said something about you to a family member, a friend, and there is this steady drip, drip, drip. Understand in those circumstances, the lesser is not deliberately cultivating an image of you of being some kind of nut job, crazy person, harpy, bully, but instead, each time there is an instance where you threaten the narcissist's control, the narcissism has to assert control over you. Invariably, it will look to do so through the first direct assertion of control, but sometimes that will not happen, and instead, the narcissism shifts to the second indirect assertion of control. That might be triangulation, it might be smearing, and it often is smearing. So, through the course of your relationship, each time you threaten the narcissist's control, and you could do this scores of times in the course of a day without actually realising you're doing it, more often than not, the narcissist will assert control against you directly. But alongside this, there will be repeated occasions where your threat to the narcissist's control results in the narcissist smearing you, but you don't get to hear about it. The narcissist complains to his mother about your behaviour, or to his father, to his brother, to friends, to colleagues, to neighbours, to your friends. Sometimes it's reported back to you, but often it isn't, and this starts to create an impression of who you are in the eyes of those other individuals. So that, at a later juncture, perhaps when you have been disengaged from or when you escape, and you try and tell all of these people about the horrible behaviour that you have been subjected to, you get nowhere. Why? Because there has been this drip, drip, drip smearing of you throughout the relationship, so that when you try and expose the narcissist, you come slam into this smearing, and it fails. Remember, where the lesser has engaged in this, it has not been a calculated act to create this impression of you. It has been built up as the relationship has gone along, as a response to you threatening the narcissist's control in some way. Where you're dealing with a mid-range narcissist, again, it is not a calculated step. Once again, through your ongoing interaction in the relationship, you will repeatedly threaten the narcissist's control through wounding or challenge fuel. If you want to understand more about those interactions, go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain the must-read 3 interactions with the narcissist. Very important material to aid your understanding of narcissism. So, 2 of those 3 interactions result in you threatening the control of the narcissist, which means, through one of the 3 assertions of control, the narcissist may well respond by directly asserting control against you. That might be a word salad, a circular conversation, insult, provocation, physical violence. Sometimes, because of the variance of the dynamic, the narcissist will shift to the second assertion of control, which is indirect. And in those circumstances, what happens is, again, the narcissist will triangulate or smear because they're mid-range, and you'll be triangulated with the facade. So the narcissist will be talking about all of the things that they do for you, and of course they will be behaving in a pleasant manner towards these other appliances, and also complaining about you. And therefore you get the double whammy of the triangulation with the facade and the smearing. And each time that the narcissism selects to utilize the second indirect assertion of control, every single time you have threatened the narcissist's control, this again starts to build up a picture in the background with friends, family, colleagues, neighbours that you probably don't know about, so that at that later juncture, when you escape, or more likely you have been disengaged from, and you try to go to these people and say, he's been abusing me, she has been abusing me, you suddenly find that your pleas and claims fall on deaf ears, because we have already ensured that these people believe us and not you. Remember, still with the mid-range narcissist, this is not a purposeful, calculated step. It is an instinctive response to your threat to control. So in January, February, March, April, May, all through those months, you threaten the narcissist's control. The narcissist will assert control over you directly, but will also do so indirectly, and also through withdrawal. And by the indirect ones, if that's happening several times through all of those months, by the time when you get to June or July, and you've been disengaged from, a picture has already been created. The narcissist did not sit there in January and think, okay, I'm going to get rid of her in July. What I'm now going to do is sit down and tell everybody what a crazy nut job harpy she is, so that when I get rid of her in 6 months' time, everybody will be on my side. The mid-range narcissist doesn't work like that. The lesser narcissist doesn't work like that. The greater or the ultra will work like that. And that's where it is calculated. That is where the narcissist is thinking ahead. It may not be as many months as that, but it will be thinking ahead to disengaging from you. And therefore, the narcissist that is greater or ultra will, in an aware fashion, by calculated methods, start to sow the seeds of your downfall by explaining to people about your behaviours. And it will be done in a subtle, insidious way. So to recap, the lesser, no facade, but will smear you, and it will be done on an ongoing, intermittent basis, which culminates in you basically being dunked into a mud bath at a later stage, when you try and then expose the narcissist's behaviour to all of the people you have been smeared to. With mid-range, again on an ongoing basis that is instinctive and not calculated, the mid-range narcissist will triangulate you with their facade as they repeatedly build up their image of being a good and kind and decent person with all of these third parties in the fuel matrix, and at the same time, or alongside that, they will be smearing you, again on an instinctive, ongoing, intermittent basis. The greater and the ultra, they will plan ahead to determine that you are going to be gotten rid of, and will start the smearing and emphasize the facade to those people in the fuel matrix in order to capitalize on it as at the point of your disengagement. And therefore, the following description encapsulates any of those 3 routes, whether it's the lesser, the mid-range, or the greater, who has created a position of the facade, where mid-range or greater, or smearing with all 3, and it is at this point where you are saying to the narcissist, I'm going to expose your behaviour to everybody, I'm going to tell them what you have done to me, I'm going to explain to them that you're not this good person that you hold yourself out to be, I'm going to demonstrate that you're cruel and abusive. And then this is in effect what is the response of the narcissist. They will not believe you. Go on then. Tell them all what has happened to you. Go on, here, take my phone and ring my parents, my family and my friends. Ring my colleagues too. Telephone the golf club, in fact. Why don't you take an advertisement in a local... No, make it a national newspaper and tell everybody about how badly you have been treated. Climb on the roof and shout it to the neighbourhood. Tell everyone who calls at our door and bellow it to strangers as they walk past. Do it. Go on. Tell them about it. Announce it. Broadcast it. Transmit it. Send it out by mail, email, message and radio signal. Have it blaring from the radio, repeatedly playing on television. Hell, I will even let you strap a message to a flock of pigeons, and you can let them deliver the news that way. Scrawl how badly you have been treated by me on a piece of paper, and wrap it around a brick, and hurl it through the window at the police station. Scream it long and loud until you are hoarse. Go on, tell them all. Tell my parents about their successful son, who has studied hard, achieved brilliant results, and now excels at work, about what it is I actually do. Why don't you gather all my friends around here and announce to them what a bastard I am? I'm sure they'll be intrigued to listen to you saying that about their loyal and dependable friend, who always makes time for them, and has helped them out in repeated ways through his largesse and influence. Pop next door and bang on their front door. Explain to them with your wild eyes and even wilder hair what has really been happening. After all, I only ever show them friendship and politeness, don't I? I don't think they have heard me shouting at you. You see, I wait until they are away before I raise my voice. But I know that they've heard you ranting and bawling at me. Go to the local shopping parade and mention to the pleasant lady at the bakery what I really get up to behind closed doors. I'm sure she will love to hear you tell her all about the charming man who was her best customer and has arranged for her to supply the restaurant of two of my best friends. Call my brother and give him chapter and verse. Oh, you can't, because he won't answer the phone to you anymore, will he? I know. Head down to the gym and see if you can interest any of the regulars with an hysterical rant about the chap who they all say hello to and works out quietly and regularly. Type out a memo for my colleagues and circulate it to them. I'm sure they will be interested to read all about their boss who holds the keys to their futures. Declare it to the group that I attend football with. They will all want to know all about what I do, won't they? What's that? These are all my people. At last, you see, you have recognised the truth of the matter in between your vile outbursts and hateful comments. I know then, ring up your sister and see what she has to say. Mind you, I dare say you won't want to give her the satisfaction after the way she came on to me, would you? Tell your friends all about it. Oh, wait, they're now my friends. And all they have ever seen is how happy I have made you. The gifts, the trips, the presents, and the love. What about the vicar? He will listen to you, I'm sure. It is what he does after all, although what will he make of such slander against a regular attendee at his sermons and the generous charity donor? Well, that remains to be seen. Do it. Grab a loudspeaker, create a banner, haul a message behind an aeroplane, and write it in the sand on the beach. Do it in this frenzied manner with words spilling from your twisted mouth, a word salad which makes no sense. I'm sure the staccato way you spit out your accusations will be well received. Make sure they look deep into your crazy eyes when you are talking to them. I want them to see who they are really dealing with. Tell your father, will you? He's put up with this for years and was glad to see you leave home. He told me himself. He knows what a drama queen you are. And as for your mother, well, she hates confrontation. And she adores me, because she knows just how much I have done for you, because I made it my business to tell her. Go on, beat your tiny fists about that facade that I have created. See if you can punch some holes in it, although I know you will not be able to. Shout and stamp and holler all you like. I will enjoy watching you do that as I assert control over you, and there will be no favourable outcome for you. You are the crazy one, and you are trying to unseat the stable, rational, dependable, and ultimately far more likeable me. But you keep trying. It allows me to assert control over you. It allows me to point to your hysterical behaviour and say, see what I have to put up with? And it all provides me with fuel, as your bloodied hands slap against the facade with no effect, and your voice becomes no more than a rasp. I will watch as the hope fades in your eyes, to be replaced by fear and incomprehension. Keep trying, though. Keep going, and reinforce what I have already indoctrinated them to believe. They believe me. They won't believe you.